I've got a question for you. Did you know that your makeup has an expiration date? Yeah, you might actually right now have some expired makeup in your stash and you don't even realize it. I know I didn't realize that for many years. I have used expired makeup, didn't even know it. That's basically because in the past, I would have a tube of mascara or lipstick and I would hold on to it for months and in most cases actually, years. My mindset for doing that was that I was being frugal by not throwing them away so I could use them sometime in the future because I might need them. I might want to wear them. Yeah, what I didn't know was that I was holding on to a potential case of irritation and rash. Hi, I'm Leah and welcome to my channel. This is where I share simple tips and product reviews for relaxed hair, oily skincare, and makeup to help you look great, feel great, and live great. So yes, we're talking about expired makeup. All makeup expires and at some point you just have to throw it away. Yes, I know it can be hard to throw away that favorite lipstick, that favorite foundation, that favorite eyeshadow palette, but at some point it might not be good for you to hold on to it any longer. Okay, now before you start freaking out and try to run to your makeup and trying to figure out what is expired and what is not, I'm going to actually share with you some obvious signs for expired makeup. Plus, I'm going to share some general guidelines that we can all use to kind of help us determine how much longer we should be holding on to the makeup and if we should go ahead and use it all up right now instead of just keeping it until, a special occasion. Okay, here are the obvious signs of expired makeup. The first one is separation, and that is when the oil starts sitting on the top of the liquid makeup and that oil doesn't go away or mix back in when you shake the product up. Now, this tends to happen to products like nail polish and liquid foundations. The second obvious sign of expired makeup is that it smells bad. Now, it can smell like rancid, or it might just smell different than it usually does. So it's not a pleasant smell, but it's not like trashy kind of smell or really bad. But if the smell changes, you probably have expired makeup. The third obvious sign is there's a change in texture. So this would mean that the product doesn't go on as smoothly as it used to, or just doesn't even feel right on your skin. It feels just different. The fourth obvious sign is that there's a change in the consistency of the makeup. So this can be things like the liquid makeup has lumps and clumps in it. And the fifth obvious sign is that the color of the makeup has changed. Now, this can mean that the makeup is now looking darker or lighter or just even a different color altogether. Now, those are the 5 obvious signs, but sometimes your makeup doesn't give you obvious signs that it's expired. Sometimes you can't just look at it, smell it, or touch it and be able to tell. So if you think your makeup has expired, there's something you can do, such as checking the expiration date. Now, some makeup, like this one you'll see here, has an actual expiration date on it. Not every makeup does, but some of them do. And when these brands put an expiration date on the product, like this one, typically it's based on when the product was manufactured. So you've got to think like, okay, it was manufactured several years ago, and typically that's like a 3-year window from what I've seen. So you see this date here, it was manufactured 3 years prior, which then take the expiration date and figure out what date it is now. Yeah, I want to touch this. I want to put it on my skin. There's also another way that brands will put expiration dates on products, and that is this symbol, which is an open jar with a number of months on it. And this is called a PAO symbol, which stands for period after opening. Basically, what the symbol is telling you is that this product is good X months after it's opened. Now, I tend to see the symbol more often on hair products than I do on makeup, so it took me a while to actually find this image. So I wouldn't rely too much on finding that. I would actually rely more on the obvious signs that your makeup has expired if your makeup has an actual expiration date, or use these guidelines that we're going to talk about next. Okay, so in addition to these obvious signs and the expiration date, there are some general guidelines that you can follow to help you kind of determine whether or not your makeup is expired or could potentially be close to being expired. Different makeup products age differently, and I haven't confirmed exactly why, but based on my research, it does seem to be because of a few different things. One of those things is because of the preservatives that are in each type of product help to preserve it a little bit longer or less than some of the others. There's also some differences in the type of product it is, whether it's like a liquid or a powder or a cream. There's also how regularly these products tend to be exposed to the air, and also their type of application. All right, so we're just gonna go through a list of different products, and I'm going to give you the general guidelines that I found for each of them. Okay, let's start with our foundations, and they come in two different forms. You've got a liquid and powder, and both of those have varying expiration guidelines. Although it does seem that unopened, both of them can last for several years, typically around 3 years. But once they're opened, that's where the guidelines start to change a little bit. So look at foundation. It's recommended to replace every 6 to 12 months once it's been opened. And a powder foundation and even setting powders, they can last a little bit longer, and it's recommended to replace them every 2 years once they're opened. Now, when it comes to liquid foundation, the signs that it has expired are that it's separated. You're seeing that oil sitting on top. It's gloopy, it's clumpy, or it's lumpy, or it can go on streaky and uneven. When time has started running out on powders, they can start to harden and not blend as well. And then compact powders might start to really crumble and break apart. Let's talk about concealers next. So just like a foundation, the expiration guidelines depend on the form or type of concealer. And you have powders and you have liquids. Liquid concealers tend to be good for about a year after they're opened, and powder concealers can last for about 2 years after they're opened. Another product that has a range for guidelines is blush, and that's because it comes in different forms. You've got your cream and you've got your powders. And so cream blush is recommended to throw out about 12 months after it's been opened, and powder blush, they say it can last a little bit longer. It's recommended to toss those after about 18 months once they've been opened. Now, a definite sign though to throw out your blush is that it will harden, so it's so hard you can't even apply it. Okay, let's talk about eyeshadow. And this is a product that seemed to have a varying range, and I couldn't really nail down like kind of an average when I was looking at what a lot of these experts out there were saying. Because some experts were saying that eyeshadow should be replaced every 6 months, and others say that it could last up to 2 years. For this, I say just use your best judgment. Your eyes are a really sensitive place. You want to make sure you're not putting expired makeup up there. I do know, though, personally, that I will use eyeshadows a year, 2 years after I've started opening them and using them, and I haven't had any issues, but everybody is different. So just use your best judgment. Now, some of the things that I did find out when it comes to this varying range is that eyeshadows can last longer if you keep your brushes clean and you don't use your fingers to apply it. So that is probably being factored into some of the experts' recommendations here. Okay, we're going to stick with the eyes a little bit, and we're going to talk about eyeliners. Now, an eyeliner, whether it's gel or liquid, tends to last about 3 to 6 months. And there is something that can help a pencil liner last a little bit longer, and that is sharpening it after each use, which can help to remove the bacteria that it might have gotten when it touched your eye, and that can make your pencil liner last a little bit longer. Now, out of all of the makeup products, mascara has one of the shortest lifespans, at least recommended lifespans, and that is 2 to 3 months. I was kind of surprised because I can hold on to a mascara for like a good year. What seems to be driving this guideline is the constant action of removing the wand from the tube, applying it to your eyes, and then putting the wand back into the tube. And this is because the motion of removing the wand from the tube and putting it back in makes the tube a perfect breeding ground for bacteria, and that bacteria is let in every single time the wand is taken out and put back in. Now, some signs of an actually expired tube of mascara, one that you probably don't want to have anywhere near your eyes, is that it's either dry or very watery, and it could even separate and just not go on very smoothly. Okay, we're done with the eyes. Let's move on to the lips. And I actually don't have to worry about these guidelines because I don't wear lipstick or lip gloss very often. I just wear chapstick, and that is gone in like weeks. So if you are, though, someone who uses lipstick or lip gloss, it's recommended to replace them after about 1 to 2 years because of the constant exposure that they have to your mouth. Now, there is one little tip that I found that might make you rethink when you're throwing out your lipstick or your lip gloss. And that is that if you've used them when you were sick, you might want to toss it because it could be contaminated from the germs that you would have passed on from your mouth when you were sick to your lipstick. Now, the obvious signs of your lipstick or lip gloss going bad is that it will start to dry out, it'll smell, and it'll even change color. And I have seen this when it comes to like my grandmother's lipstick and even my mom's lipstick in the past. I remember distinctly there were bad smells and weird colors when it came to their lipsticks because they held on to those things till they should have been long tossed out. Last but not least, we have nail polish. So once opened, nail polish can last up to 2 years. I will personally testify that I have had nail polish last a little bit longer than that. I will also testify that because I held on to some nail polishes longer than 2 years, much longer than 2 years, I have seen expired nail polish firsthand. I have seen it be lumpy. I have seen it be clumpy. I have seen it smell. I have seen it separate and never come back. No matter how much you shake that little jar, it would not come back together. Okay, now that we've gone through the obvious signs of expired makeup and some general guidelines for when we should toss them or replace them, let's talk about 3 tips that I have that can help make sure our makeup doesn't expire sooner than it should. Tip 1 is to don't store your makeup in the bathroom. Now, the bathroom has a lot of what? Water and humidity. And those are 2 ingredients that help create a breeding ground for bacteria in our makeup. So to solve this, just keep your makeup outside of the bathroom. Now, I used to keep my makeup in the bathroom, but once I learned how bad it could be for my makeup, I then moved my makeup outside of the bathroom into my bedroom. And now I even have a makeup table that is on the opposite wall from my bathroom door where I keep all my makeup, and I haven't had any issues. Tip number 2 is to not use your fingers to apply your makeup. When you're putting your fingers in the jars, in the bottles, in the palettes of your makeup, you're actually putting some contamination into the makeup, which can then decrease the integrity and help it expire sooner. Now, I don't use my fingers very often to apply my makeup. I tend to prefer brushes and sponges. But when I do use my fingers, I make sure that I wash my hands before I start touching my face. And I'm kind of like a surgeon where it's like I wash my hands and I don't touch anything until I've started working on my face. Tip number 3 is to clean your makeup brushes and sponges regularly. Now, you can contaminate your makeup with your makeup tools. So even if you're not using your fingers, your makeup tools can also cause some contamination to the makeup. So keeping them clean helps. And I tend to wash my makeup brushes and sponges at least once a week, which is recommended, but sometimes I might even do it more often and do it a couple of times a week. All right, now I want to hear from you. What has been your experience with expired makeup? Have you ever had any? Have you ever used any on your face? Do you think you might have some expired makeup in your stash right now? Go ahead and share all of that in the comments. And while you're doing that, please give this video a thumbs up, give it a like to show the YouTube algorithms that you like my content. And please also click the subscribe button to subscribe to my channel. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.